So I just got to stop procrastinating and buy another mic.
But then we can't look into each other's eyes anymore.
It's the only reason why I ever make eye contact with DJ.
Actually, though, if we all had our own mics, then it would only be picking up the in front part, so we could kind of sit more in like a triangle.
Oh, I was going to say that we all sit in like a panel thing, so it looks like so we're interviewing.
I've been through enough panel interviews. Thank you.
That's hilarious. Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 28. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery.
Hey everybody.
DJ Mandolini.
Hey.
And John Hines back from his honeymoon.
Hello.
And wedding and all that. We had a good time a couple weekends ago, and now we're back in full force. And we got a demo of a new game that just came out on Switch, and I think on all platforms, if I'm not mistaken, or pretty much all platforms. This is a release of a new Super Lucky's Tale, which is a 3D platformer, a pretty beautiful looking 3D platformer, at least from what the demo showed off. And it's kind of interesting. This is a remake. So Super Lucky's Tale came out a couple years ago or a few years ago on, I think on maybe only on Xbox One. It might have been on different platforms, but... Yeah. Another, it was like kind of like supposed to be a 3D platformer revival kind of game, kind of like Ukulele or whatever else has come out in the past few years, and another game we're going to talk about later. But they pretty much not just revamped it, like it came out to pretty middling to even on the lower side reviews. The original Super Lucky's Tale, and I think Randall has played a little bit of that, and we'll get into that just a little bit.
Sure.
But this new Super Lucky's Tale not only like revamps the controls and the camera and a bunch of like issues that the game had just technically in general, just kind of tighten things up, but they also apparently just like redesigned. Like it's basically a different game. Like there's all new levels, like the same kind of themes, but they really kind of redesigned puzzles, redesigned layouts of levels, redesigned pretty much everything. So it's pretty interesting to see how this turns out, and I'm definitely going to be checking out the game eventually. But the demo was really fun. But what did everybody else think? Why don't you take it away first, Randall, since you've actually played a tiny bit of the original Super Lucky's Tale?
Yeah, so I own an Xbox One X, and it was one of the first games that I picked up then, the original Super Lucky's Tale, because I'm like, this is platform exclusive, and, I love platformers. Obviously, I get every Nintendo console, so I love platformers, and love Rare. That was a major reason why I picked up an Xbox One in the first place, was that Rare is exclusive to Microsoft. But so then Super Lucky's Tale was available. It looked colorful and pretty. I picked it up, I think, on a sale, but it never quite hit me right. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was lack of final polish or what was going on, or level design, but it just didn't grab me like some of the platformers, of old. So maybe I'll come back to this at some point. But new Super Lucky's Tale, I grabbed that demo on Switch, which is awesome that they put a demo out there, because it immediately hooked me. I loved that demo. It's only the first level, but there's a lot you can do in it. You could probably spend a good, 20, 30 minutes
that sounds about
everything.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and it was
it's
great.
Also a really good tutorial, of all the different abilities that you have, like a good first level should. But the demo itself was a great, dipping your toes into it.
Yeah, it felt like you just kept plowing forward with a good sense of momentum, and saw here's what a little small secret looks like, or here's what like you said, all the different abilities, John. I really had a good time with the demo as well. But what about you, DJ?
I think I got the least pumped out of all of us. It does serve as a tutorial level, and the visuals are solid, the controls are tight, everything's there, but the level was almost so basic that nothing really got me pumped per se. Right. But then at the end, it shows you the trailer for the rest of the game. It's these levels look sweet, all the different challenges it seems like it puts you through. And I wish there were just some elements of that in the demo. So I'd say the demo itself, I wouldn't necessarily rate so high, but I could be tempted to get the full game regardless.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot of fun, and like I know you mentioned the visuals, DJ, and it really looks sharp.
Yeah,
like the visuals are just really clean. I know some of these 3D games have like a lot of pop in and some kind of jagged edges and whatnot on the Switch, especially. But
Right.
This game just looks really, really clean, really sharp. John booted up the demo and played a little bit of it just a few minutes ago before we recorded, and it just kind of re-sparked. And like the music's really like just that. It's like typical 3D platformer music, but it's really upbeat and chirpy. It definitely got me like in the mood to like get the collectibles. And then as soon as I like noticed that dash mechanic where you kind of like when you're on the grass and you burrow under the ground, like if you're on like concrete or some kind of solid surface, you can kind of like slide and do like a dash, but it's it has like a limited range. But like otherwise, when you're on grass or soft ground, I imagine maybe later in the game you kind of burrow underground and you can just kind of keep dashing and they'll like kind of burrow some coins under there that you can collect. But yeah, I just really liked like I thought they laid out those coins in like maybe not interesting, it is definitely a demo level and a tutorial, but I thought it was like a nice set of challenges, and like you can kind of, it seemed like it was a clear set, like there's going to be this many coins on this level, and it's not it doesn't seem like it's going to have that mechanic or that setup that Mario 64 or a lot of the 3D Mario games, not so much Mario Odyssey, but that like go in and get like one challenge at a time. It does seem like it's just like play this level and get all the challenges as you accomplish them. Maybe I'm wrong, this is just the demo that we played, but it seemed like it just kept rolling along. It didn't like, you got this, okay, reset, go back to the hub or whatever and jump back into the level or something. Like it seemed like it was well thought out and like strung together levels as opposed to like a bigger hub world with challenges in each level, if that makes sense. Which, again, this is just the demo. I don't know if that's how the game actually is, but I'm excited if that is the case, because I do kind of get sick of, and again, a game that I'm going to talk about a little later has a little bit of that issue where you're like going in and just doing one thing at a time, and like the level's set up for one specific challenge every time you pick that task or whatever to get that star.
Yeah, and this you can achieve everything in kind of one go around, and everything in the levels, at least this first level, felt really intentional in the design to me, in the way that some other 3D platformers don't. It is a 3D platformer, so there's always going to be a little bit of open-ended feel where it's not, you're not down one path like a 2D game. But I don't know, the way it's designed in those kind of tighter corridor areas, even though it's a 3D world, felt just really intentional to me. I really liked the level design. I liked how there was little secrets where if you kind of turn the camera just enough, you can see, oh, yep, there's another like diamond gem that you can't see when you're first walking into an area. So I'm always a sucker for little secrets like that too, right? So, and I got all of the lucky characters. Did you guys do it too?
I think I missed one initially, but kind of looped back around and scooped it up. I think it was the K that I missed.
Nice.
But
so you just got Lucy.
Super Lucy's tail. But yeah, no, I'm really pumped to pick this game up. I think it's only $40. I don't know that I'm going to buy it immediately because we're always talking about our backlogs and everything. So I don't know that's going to be a game I need to have right this second, but it's really, really fun. And I'm looking forward to, like DJ mentioned in the trailer, like seeing what all those different worlds and whatnot look like and seeing what else they have to offer. Because like you said, Randall, that's kind of what I was trying to get at, is just like the intentionality of the level design. Like just felt everything, like even just where the coins are placed, it's not just, they're not just there for you to get 100 coins to get a free 1-up like in Mario. Like they're actually like deliberate, like you can get all the coins in this level. And I don't know, I like that. It kind of leads you down paths or hints at a secret or something like that. And I really appreciated the polish, and I really appreciate just knowing that they went back and knew they felt like, or at least felt, I shouldn't say no, but they felt like they had something with the original Super Lucky's Tale, whether it was like the character design or the charm of the game or whatever. But they knew there was something that was just a little off, and I really admire that they went back and stuck with it and kind of revamped this game and re-released it.
Me too, because it feels like, from my experience, the engine feels really similar. The character feels very similar, but yeah, they managed to clean up those loose ends and make something that I'm way more excited to play through. So
yeah, and I'll say that it's like the character does feel, at least initially to me, felt like just a tad stiff, like it was like a little slow moving, or like almost like there was a little like delay to get that momentum going. But it only took me a few minutes to get used to that. Like,
yeah.
you know, with Mario, and again with the game, which I'll just say I'm gonna talk about A Hat in Time later. I'm not just gonna keep referring to it as the game, but but like that's like a little more, you're like a little lighter on your feet or whatever, and this felt like you're a little more weighty or weighted to the ground, but you still, like, I don't know, the sense of movement just felt really great. Like I'd never had trouble lining up where I was going to land my jump, like when you're landing on these springs to spring you up to a higher level. Like I never felt like I was misjudging my aim or my timing. So
right,
yeah, I'm excited to see more, and I love that, not just burrowing under the ground, but when you can go like from way up and do that like dive attack into the ground and then keep burrowing. Like I just thought that felt great.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we haven't played much of it, but definitely worth checking out, especially if you maybe checked out Super Lucky's Tale initially and weren't too impressed. Worth checking out this new release of it.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll go in and talk about the other game that I've been that I've been playing, and I've been playing a little bit of A Hat in Time, which I picked up recently with some of my Amazon points and a little bit of my own cash as well. but I just saw it was a little bit discounted. I think it was only like $30 on Amazon. So I was like, oh man, I've really had my eye on this game since it initially came out. It's another 3D platformer.
Yep.
Came out, I think, on PC or whatever initially. And then has rolled out to consoles and whatnot, I think, more recently. So just came out on Switch, and I will say apparently there were some huge bugs like right at launch, like graphical issues and whatnot that they've patched. I'm still having some issues with like the 2D textures are looking really blurry a lot of the times. Like the texture on a wall, or like if there's like some graffiti on the wall. It's not
wow, they're really
game-breaking
dedicated to Nintendo 64 feel then.
I guess so, but it's a little bit jarring at times, but it's few and far between, and it's not affecting my enjoyment of the game by any means. I mean, it's running smooth and everything. I did have one little like slight hiccup in frame rate that kind of threw off a jump, but it was a one-time thing. I haven't seen any issues since. But you essentially play as I think her name is Hat Kid, and you essentially wear a bunch of different hats. And for what it's worth, this came out before Mario Odyssey, but it does have a lot of the same, like you're not stealing like enemies' hats or whatnot, but you have a bunch of different hats. Like your initial hat that you start off with is just kind of like a big top hat, and you can hold down the trigger or the button that initiates your ability, and this one just kind of shows you where your end goal of whatever your goal, you got to collect your little hourglass. This game is very much like Super Mario Galaxy meets Super Mario Sunshine with a little bit of Odyssey elements. It really is like kind of tying in all of the things, at least that I like about the 3D Mario games, and putting it together in a pretty nice package, apart from some of these polish issues that I brought up at the beginning on the visual front.
Yeah.
But the controls, again, like I mentioned a little bit ago, like you're really light on your feet. You have like you have a double jump, and then you can even do like a dash midair while you're jumping, like almost like you could throw your cap and bounce off it in Mario.
Oh, nice.
You're not able to bounce off your hat or throw that or anything, but I've unlocked 2 other hats so far. One is that like a sprint cap. It's like a visor with wings on it that I can then hold down the trigger to sprint, and you can swap between these hats at any time, like pull up a radial menu for that. And then I also have like a witch's hat now that I can like shake up a potion and throw that and like explode certain things to gather different collectibles on the level. Some of the boxes will like explode like little health pickups, or unlike Super Lucky's Tale, A Hat in Time has like little coin-esque collectibles or like little gems that are in these little bubbles. But you're picking those up kind of like they are like your currency in the game, but they seem like it's just like play the levels as many times, pick up as many as you want. Like there's no like, it's not like there's 100 in this level and that's how many to get. It just collect them, and there's a character that you can buy like different hats from, or different badges that you can put on your hat. So like there's one that's like a camera mode and that's like obviously not going to offer you any gameplay tweaks or anything like that, but you can take a screenshot at any time. But
that's
there's
cool,
one
though.
that like the one that I just bought recently is like when I do that dash in midair. If I hit a wall now when I'm in midair doing that dash, I won't bounce off it. Like I'll just kind of, I won't, like normally you'll kind of like, it'll cancel your jump when you hit the wall.
Yeah.
If you dash into it, where this, you can wall jump in the game. So I'll just continue my dash up the wall. Like when it kind of works similarly to the wall jump in Dead Cells, like where you jump on the wall and kind of run up it a little bit and then jump and then run up a little, then jump. So it took a little getting used to, and the controls can have a little bit of touchiness to them, but for the most part, it has a ton of different camera options. You can go from like, it starts out at a medium distance, but you can switch it to close, very close, far, very far, and like tweak that quite a bit. The controls feel great. Like I said, a little bit of touchiness, but like you're like it has like with the Mario Sunshine, like you know how there were some of those like kind of high like tight ropes that you could bounce off of and like spring off of. Like it has a lot of that. It has like you're landing on lava. If you land in the fire, you're gonna get like launched up into the air. Yeah, I mean it's really is like reminding me a lot of what the Mario games have on offer, but like there's some really tight platforming challenges. I will say, just like I mentioned with the coins, the level designs are really nice. Like I really like this first level that I've played so far, but it is suffering from that like you're picking each, just like in Mario 64, like you pick your level, then you pick episode 1 or act 1 or whatever, and then that's like the challenge you can do on that, and that is it. But there's even like in some of the levels on some of the challenges, there'll be like a time rift that you can go into, and it's just like in Mario Galaxy where there were those like kind of hovering like planets off to the side that had extra hard challenges or extra difficult challenges. But then the challenge in that world felt very much like the Super Mario Sunshine levels, where they would take away your like flood backpack and have just kind of like a really like minimalist like floating, rotating platforms and like weird random shapes and
stuff.
Those
are the best parts of Sunshine, I think.
Oh yeah. I agree, and I really like Mario Sunshine, at least for what it was. You know, I had a really good time playing that game, and I'm having a really good time with A Hat in Time. I am hoping that they're able to patch out some of these issues with the graphical, you know, hiccups and whatnot, because it is a little distracting. Again, it doesn't affect the gameplay, but it's just like otherwise it's a really good looking game. Like the 3D textures and everything look great.
Nice.
So when like a wood grain on a wall or a platform just looks all blurry and smeared out, like it's a little bit of a bummer, because the game really otherwise like plays and feels great. So and again, it's got that great like 3D platformer, upbeat, chirpy soundtrack. I wouldn't say that they're like immediately like ditties that I'm humming in my head, but it's definitely very reminiscent of like just the energy and feeling of like I feel like I'm playing a 3D Mario game. It really feels, again, apart from like that slight, you know, lack of polish, I guess. And I think that is specific to the Switch version, for whatever that's worth, these like texture issues and whatnot. So
right.
But yeah, there's like a free DLC that's come out, and I think even on PC there's all sorts of like mod packs. People are making their own levels, and I think even the DLC that came out, it was something that was like user created, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but it was something that was like kind of, or at least initiated as something of like, hey, we want to do something full fledged with this, or something. It's kind of like Halloween themed or something like that.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing more. And I've pretty much just played through like the first level of like 7 or 8, 9 challenges or so, but having a lot of fun and looking forward, again, just like we talked about with Super Lucky's Tale, looking forward to see like the different worlds and different, you know, zones or whatever. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of different themes and all that. So yeah, really excited I picked this one up finally, and again, hoping for a little patch on the visual stuff, but nothing that hinders my enjoyment of the game in any way.
Does it seem like they're actively updating things?
They did, like there was a patch out at launch, if I'm not mistaken, that was fixing, like there were apparently just some graphical issues that were like, again, not game breaking, but like just like green lines that are not supposed to be there, just shooting up. But that's all been fixed, I think. Yeah. But yeah, there is still just the lack of polish. You know, you can like some of like the graffiti, like we said on the wall, or like I said earlier, is just like kind of smudged out, and you can tell it's not supposed to be that way. You know, the resolution is just lower, I guess, on those textures. But yeah, that's really all I had to say about it, at least for now. But I'll probably be talking about this game more, because it's one of those, like, for whatever reason, like these platformers, I just get sucked into them, and like it is like my one-track mind of like when I boot up my Switch, it's just like, I guess I'm playing this. One more thing to add: the load times are a little bit on the long side. And again, when you're going through this kind of setup, and especially after playing Mario Odyssey, where you're just, oh, you got a moon? Okay, keep playing. Like you don't have to keep dipping out of the level and whatnot, but. I will say as well, though, even though you're dipping back in, like one of the levels, like the first level is in Mafia Town, and I don't even know if they're going to end up being the villains of the game, but at least for now they are, like sort of villains. I don't know. It's, but the game is, it's just super cute and cheeky.
Nice.
But
the one question I had is, like, can you access all of the hats that you've gathered so far at the same, like, can you use any hat you want that you've collected?
Yeah, you can hold down the left button and it pulls up a radial menu, and you can just then or actually you don't have to hold it down. You just click it once. It keeps throwing me off because I I think you have to hold it down. But you click it once and then it'll show all the hats you have, and you just kind of point your joystick in that direction, and it'll immediately swap the hat. So
nice.
There's been some cool boss battles too that have kind of forced the perspective into a 2D perspective. And they've been pretty challenging. There's been just 2 boss fights so far, but the second one in particular was I was like, damn, that was pretty tough. So I'm excited to see where the challenge level gets with this game too, because even some of the little like platforming challenges have been kind of, you gotta have some chops. So
nice.
I'm excited to see more of this game for sure. Well, why don't we just jump right into another game that Randall's been playing? Yeah. I know you've been playing a little bit of a retro reboot of sorts, Randall. So why don't we talk about a little Ninja Saviors?
Oh, yes. So the Ninja Saviors Return of the Warriors just recently came out on Switch. And so this is actually I guess it's like an enhanced port of a Super Nintendo game called The Ninja Warriors Again. Which is a very expensive Super Nintendo cart. It's like unattainably expensive. So I've never actually had a chance to play this, but I've always kind of looked longingly from afar, like, oh, I love, like, historically, I love beat 'em ups. My wife Tina and I have played through like Streets of Rage 2 in the original, and the Final Fight games, and Knights of the Round, all those fun beat 'em ups like multiple times. So beat 'em ups are kind of in my wheelhouse, but never able to shell out the $200+ for a cart of the Ninja Warriors. So when they announced that this was coming out, the Ninja Saviors, I was like, oh shoot, this is awesome. And then they went about it where they didn't just dump the ROM onto Switch. They went ahead and like remade the graphics, redid the audio, put it in widescreen, which is like totally changes the way the game feels from what I can tell compared to like videos of the full screen version. But yeah, it's like mainly a single player focused single lane beat 'em up, whereas you get games like Double Dragon or Streets of Rage where you've generally got like half the screen where you can kind of maneuver around enemies. In this, you're just kind of walking like it's a side scroller, right? You can't really get around enemies. You can only be in front of them or behind them.
Okay, so there's just like the one plane,
right?
Essentially, okay.
Yeah, which is like that's kind of a different take compared to most beat 'em ups, right? So I'm like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. But I immediately took to it, and I'm like, I liked it more than I thought I would, honestly. There's 3 characters. It's hard. It's a difficult game across 8 levels. When I first played this through several playthroughs, I was having to use continues like crazy. This game is just like damn hard. You kind of have to know, you have to study this game. You have to know that you have to approach it almost more like a fighting game as opposed to like a simple beat 'em up, because there's a lot of depth to your control scheme, even though there's only 3 buttons that you use. You got this kind of primary attack button. You've got this either kind of jump or agility button, and then you've kind of got a magic / energy button. So primarily you're kind of going through, you're jumping, you're punching dudes or robots. Everybody's kind of an android robot in this universe. But the whole time through, you've got this energy meter on the bottom that's building up as you're not taking hits that you want to see fill all the way to the max so that you can unleash this kind of like screen clear attack. And sometimes that screen clear attack is almost necessary against certain enemies. You can also use that screen clear like energy bar like you can in, say, Street Fighter or later Street Fighter games like Third Strike and Street Fighter 4. You can kind of use part of that bar on special attacks that aren't quite the screen clear but can help you defeat like bosses and things like that. So there's a lot of undercover depth there. Like I said, there's 3 characters. I kind of gravitate in these type of games towards like the grappler, big dumb guy that can smash things. So that's where I found the most success when I played through this. I actually beat it for the first time this morning, despite playing it for the last couple of weeks. So it's no joke. And that's I only had to use one continue because I lost on the final boss, as opposed to when I first started, I was using continues every single level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. And this is done by the same team that redid Wild Guns Reloaded, right? Also on the Switch.
Wild Guns Reloaded, yep. To bring that into the modern age, and they did a great job on that. Apparently, Natsume Atari is also involved in developing it. But yeah, and it's unlike other beat 'em ups. Besides the first level, I'll say the enemy characters aren't polite. Well, they'll wait to get their turn to get their ass kicked. Right? They're like ganging up on you from all sides the entire time. So what you're doing a lot of times is kind of like a crowd control, where you need to grab a character and then spin him around so he's hitting on both sides and throwing into a direction where there's like an enemy that you're more worried about. And then you're trying to progress, generally from left to right, but you've got a timer going on at the top of the screen for your level, and you want to take care of that, but you also don't want to move so fast that there's so many enemies on screen where you're going to lose your one life bar because you don't have extra lives, and it's a game over immediately. So there's kind of a push and pull there that's happening through these levels that's like really addicting to me compared to some other beat 'em ups. I've really been having a good time with this one.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of it being like on its own, like single plane, instead of like having like you said, you can kind of focus more on the mechanics and the crowd control, even though that exists in other beat 'em ups where you have a little bit of that y-axis.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of stripping it down to almost having it feel like a fighting game.
It does, yeah. And all three characters, and there's actually 5 characters total, but you have to unlock the other 2. But all 3.
Do you know if those new characters were added to the game? Because I know in Wild Guns they like added new characters and new levels and stuff that didn't exist. So they not only, like you mentioned, like redid the visuals and HDified them and added the widescreen features, but they really like kind of padded out the game to make it a full-fledged experience.
They did, and I'm looking at it now. They did. Those 2 new characters are brand new to this version of the game, which is awesome. Like
that's really cool.
Yeah. And there's actually co-op in this version as well. I'm not sure if there was in the original. And Tina and I tried that out as well. And what's interesting about that is you share 1 life bar and 1 energy magic bar as well. So there's a push and pull there too, right? But your magic bar you gain magic twice as fast. So it kind of helps that way. I think the game knows that someone's probably going to get hit and lose that energy quicker. So they try to rebalance it to make it a little bit more feasible. So we had a good time with that too, although it's probably a little bit easier as a single player game potentially.
Yeah. I just really appreciate, just like we talked about with New Super Lucky's Tale. I just appreciate that like extra effort, like you mentioned in the beginning, not just dumping the ROM of the initial game onto the Switch and making it a cheap downloadable game or something like that. Like I appreciate just like, hey, we're gonna this game is like, if it just has a few modern conveniences and stuff like that, like this game, ages really well, and let's showcase that. I really appreciate that. And that's the way I feel about it. It did age well, and they did add things like time attack and online leaderboard stuff, which is always great. There's, the normal mode. There's a hard mode that I'm probably going to see through now too, because I started that again today, right after I finished beating it, and I was like, man, this is great. I want to play through hard mode now. So yeah, I might even talk about this again in the future because I'm just having a blast with this game. For whatever reason, This hooked me. Yeah, it's on my radar. It was already a little bit on my radar, but it's definitely there now for sure. And you're going DJ style, going on hard mode. Yeah, I know. It's not something I normally do, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm feeling good about this now. Let me see what hard mode's like. Feeling good about you right now. Nice. Well, you got anything more to add on that, Randall, on Ninja Saviors? Not besides the fact that I'm recommending it. Sweet. Awesome. Well, DJ, why don't we move on over to you and talk about, and you and I played a little bit of this the other day, but I know you've explored a little more of the single-player experience. This game is called Cedar's Puzzle Reboot, and that's cedar like, not like the wood, but like like a seed from like a young plant. Wood. Yeah. But anyways. It's pretty much a basic puzzle platformer. You're a little skateboard kid and
think you're like trying to save the skate park or something. I honestly wasn't paying too much attention to the story.
Yeah,
it's really just about the puzzles. Like we were going through the first area, you're going through this construction site, and there's a lot of physics-based puzzles we were noticing, like just a lot of blocks you'd be moving around and like, oh, like I have to drop a forklift on this side of a platform and have it launch me up so I can access this goal. But like there were some really challenging moments that we were noticing playing the co-op.
Yeah, the difficulty with this game definitely just picks up right off the bat. Like within the first, like I guess like they weren't levels per se, because it did feel like the level was just kind of continuing on, but there were like just different separate challenges, that were split up by checkpoints. But after like the first like 2 or 3 that were getting you the hang of the controls or just showing you what to do, it really was starting to get tough, and even incorporating some like not realistic physics into the puzzles, but like you are having to kind of like tip over these long blocks that are standing up, and they will kind of respond or slide down if they're on a weird angle or something like that. But yeah, you've definitely played more of this game, but we had a good time playing so far. It definitely is like kind of, at least to me, a little bit like cheap looking. Like DJ mentioned that the characters are skateboarding, and that almost seems like it's like an out to not have to give the character a run animation. Like they just kind of are standing still on a skateboard.
They do actually kind of bop around, like they shift left to right. So
okay, maybe I didn't pick up on that. Yeah. But it's definitely like it. I mean, like to me, like the visuals remind me of like it's beyond this, but it's almost like MS Paint. I mean, it really is like kind of really simplistic, bones, yeah. But again, the gameplay is like the puzzles are getting clever. Like DJ was mentioning, the forklifts, and a lot of those, not all of them, but most of them are kind of like auto moving, and you're having to step on switches that are opening gates, but like having to time them. And the co-op campaign is totally separate, right? If I'm not mistaken, like it's a totally distinct challenges.
The challenges are structured basically the same way. Small elements are changed. Like there was one where we had to set up a system where if the forklift fell at a certain spot, it would launch us up. That system was already set up for the single player. So like little tweaks like that. So they knew how to change it up, it seemed. So was it roughly the same levels then, but just with some tweaks to eliminate the second player? Yeah. Okay, and that's like the thing that DJ is talking about, like again back to like the physics aspects of this game, and the game is Cedars. I know we forget to repeat the name of the game all the time, but it's almost like we had to use it as like a catapult, like or not a catapult, but like a seesaw kind of thing. Like we had to get the forklift to drive off the top like layer and tumble off this cliff or whatever ledge and land on like the seesaw that was going to then launch us up. But again, we had to place the long, like all the things you can move for the most part, are like, at least in what we played, were like these long green, like bright green beams that kind of stand out from the level design otherwise. But yeah, it was all about like where you placed it and where you put like the box underneath it that was gonna, like you had to have the right angle to launch you up high enough, if that makes sense. So there is like, even though the physics aren't realistic, it does have some physics that come into play, I guess. Yeah, it wasn't as, cut and dry, like what exactly you needed to do, how exactly something needed to be placed. And you just had to do a bunch of trials, I guess. So it was kind of like guess and check a little bit.
Yeah, which I did appreciate. I liked that it wasn't like a prescribed solution. Like, even though it was like, this is what you have to do, but it did feel like we completed some challenges that were like,
we broke some
I don't think that's how we were supposed to do that. Yeah. And which I think is fun. I know we've talked about that with games like Breath of the Wild or things like that, where you're kind of like cheesing the systems. Yeah. And this one is not so much the systems necessarily, but a little bit the physics systems, I guess. But it is kind of fun to
box in which to work with.
Yeah, and you're able to kind of use your own, like you are able to kind of come up with your own solutions in some of the cases. Again, I only played a little bit with DJ, but how far have you gotten into the game?
I've gotten to the end of the second level. So then the second level is like an underground facility, and like the types of challenges are completely different. They're not really physics-based anymore. They're more there are these robot enemies that once you get close to them, they'll start to follow you for the rest of the challenge, and you have to learn how to guide them in a specific way where they're helping you like hit, these specific levers that you need to hit to open these gates without like them killing you. So it's like it's more deductive, like how you can approach these. It's less like, oh, like let's see what happens when I do this. Like you can kind of see like, okay, if I go over here, he's going to follow me. Like it's easier to formulate a strategy, I'd say,
or to see the solution in advance. Like they are maybe a little more formulated, juxtaposed to what I was just saying about that first initial level. But again, that's even almost more interesting, to be honest, that they're varying it up and that it isn't just because a lot of times these 2D games that incorporate any kind of attempt at realistic physics, like I just cannot get into them usually. But this the way they were incorporating it here, like it's not so much for your character, it's just for these like green elements, at least in that first world. So like, you know, like something like even something like Little Big Planet, that series, like the weightiness of your character, like it just doesn't feel good to move around. And I'm not saying this, you don't feel like Mario in Cedars or anything like that either. Like it's a little stiff. But it's a little bit like there's some preciseness to the jumps. Like there's like some spinning saw blades in typical 2D platformer fashion that like you pretty much have to jump at the last possible second to clear the gap. And if you jump even just a tad too early, like we had some that it just felt like we were like, and especially in co-op, you both have to clear this gap. So it was definitely getting a little bit touchy, but never frustratingly so. The challenges and the checkpoints were placed out pretty liberally, I would say. Yeah. So,
but I mean, like, you know, these challenges, what they realistically take within 2 minutes, but I'd say there were a decent handful that took us over 10 minutes to figure out, I'd say.
Yeah, there were some that, and thankfully they are kind of set up, like, not necessarily single screen, there's a little bit of scrolling, but you can kind of see, like, this is the little chunk of the challenge I have to complete before, I think they're like, little phone booths that are the checkpoints. And you do both characters need to be at that phone booth to activate the checkpoint, so it's not like I can just get there myself.
Jeez.
At least in the co-op mode. So
wow.
In the at the end of level 2 in the single player mode, you do end up rescuing another skateboard character, and from that point on, you are controlling both of them.
Ooh.
So it's almost like that like cherry upgrade in what Mario game is that?
3D World and 3D Land, or maybe just 3D World, I don't remember.
It's almost like that, where you have to learn how to, you know, get just one to this position without really moving the other. It's pretty good. I don't know. I'm definitely curious, you know, what the third level is going to have, because it seems like they do completely different themes to the puzzles from what I've seen so far.
How's the visual variety on the second level? I mean, I know we kind of mentioned that it wasn't the most compelling part of the game, but I mean, does it add a little variety, or?
I mean, it's a lot of grays and browns in the underground facility, but
and above ground it's just like cinder blocks and bricks, and that's about it. Not a lot of personality to the game, I guess I would say, in the style of the presentation, but some clever level design. So, and this is a game that, again, we picked up on cheap, or you picked up cheap on sale on the eShop, and that was really the only reason we even heard about it. So, I don't know. Did you have any more you wanted to add to that, or?
I'll keep you updated as I go on.
Yeah, we got to play some more co-op.
It looks like there's going to be some aliens, so...
Okay.
This game's got range.
So it's going to add some green to that brown.
Yeah. All right, so that's Cedar's puzzle reboot. And I guess now that we got John back from his little absentee ballot, that doesn't make any sense, but... Now that we got John back, and since we put off talking a little...
Where were you?
Since we put off a little Dragon Quest XI on Randall's end next week, John has gotten around to picking that up and has quickly gotten into putting some time in, and I know Randall, again, put that off last week, so let's get into a little more Dragon Quest XI, since it's a huge game.
I only put it off because I needed to talk to John about it, not you guys.
Yeah, I know. You guys can be quiet.
Yeah, we decided, I think, that we weren't worthy of the Dragon Quest conversation.
This is JRPG Corner.
That's right.
But yeah, so I picked it up and started playing it based off of, Randall saying everything that I thought sounded great about everything I like about JRPGs. And I started it, and the last Dragon Quest proper title I played was the first one. I played both of the Dragon Quest Builders games and really liked those. We talked about those on the podcast. So I have like a familiarity with the world and like the different themes that they have in there, but really the like culture shock going from the very first Dragon Quest to this one was like so severe.
A few quality of life improvements in the meantime, I'd say.
Significantly. Yeah.
You're talking about the original on the NES?
Yes,
or,
the very first Dragon Quest where like pioneer RPG game where experience was a new mechanic. Right. And yeah, like I love the world. It's just so charming. Everything about it is just a joy to be in. Like every new area has new enemies, and it's just fun to see them and see their like the puns that their names are all like made around. And yes, that is I knew that from the Dragon Quest Builders games, and the puns do not disappoint in this game. Like every single thing is either a goofy like rhyming couplet or like alliteration, and it's such a fun like it's so nice to play a just like fun and simple, like straightforward JRPG.
Oh yeah,
that it still has, you know, your stakes. Like it's in a fantasy world where you're the chosen one. You're like going to save the day. Yes, but like at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to the circus and race some horses. Like,
yeah,
everything about it is just fun, and it's great.
Well, I like that you mentioned that too, because that's like a lot of these JRPGs, and I guess it's probably less of an issue now than it was back in like the original Dragon Quest days. But like, or I think wasn't the original Dragon Warrior?
Am I remembering that 1 through 4 on NES. Yep.
Yeah, but like the fact that it's like not only the localization, you know, that shouldn't go unsung, because if they're coming up with some clever puns or some clever, I mean, that's not just translating the game, but that's localizing it and making the literal. I don't know. That's something that sometimes can easily get overlooked in these games, or can almost be a punchline in a lot of the older games, and that's kind of cool to know that they're, you know, really putting some solid teams on making these jokes land. It's not just like, you get it if you know the culture, but they really are localizing it for every different region, which is cool.
Yeah, they didn't just throw this in Google Translate and call it a day. They took their time with this thing. And you can tell it's just a game that they loved, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing that I really liked about it was there's an area where you can travel, and it's like they have the mode where you can, you know, switch to the classic like SNES like look of it.
Yeah.
But they have a specific area that automatically switches you over to that, and you start playing like little chapters or little quests that are based in the old Dragon Quest games.
Right.
And
nice.
Like in those areas, like they kind of go back to like the way that they localized those games. So like the very first one you go to, like all the characters are saying like, "Prithee, tell me this," and like, "Thou art the like hero of old," and like then going from that to the new one where everybody's talking with like a Cockney accent. Yeah, because that's apparently what Dragon Quest is now.
Yeah,
but
RPG.
Those are cool sections too. The way that they switched it up like that. I like that.
And even that's just on offer. I know we mentioned it when we talked about the game before, but just that you can switch into that 16-bit mode and play it as a Super Nintendo RPG with all of none of the quality of life improvements. You know, that's pretty cool. I like that there is that option. Just that just seems like, again, they poured a lot of love and effort into this game because they knew what they had. Again, I haven't played it, but I'm definitely compelled as someone who doesn't play a ton of JRPGs. This one, it's just a beautiful game, and the way you guys are hyping it up, I'm wanting to check it out more.
Yeah, I mean,
John, have you gotten into the crafting at all?
I've gotten into was that the Fun Forge?
Yes, the fun-sized forge. Yes,
the fun-sized forge. I have done a lot of crafting.
Yes, me too.
Oh man, like I've done a lot of just gathering. I hunt and I gather every material. Every time I see a blue shiny spark on the ground, I'm like, yep, going there, getting that, no matter how far out of the way.
Oh every corner of every map. Yep.
Yes. So like I've been enjoying a lot of the minor mechanics that are, you know, your typical JRPG fare, but I've enjoyed the crafting just like that. It is, you know, a little bit of a like mini game in itself. But it's like they do a good job of having, what you typically find in a JRPG nowadays, but like with like just like the exact right amount of like complexity. Like it's still like a lot of systems, but it's not too much that you can't wrap your head around.
Oh, agreed. Yeah. They do a good job streamlining it, even though there's a lot going on. Specifically with the crafting, that was like the thing I wanted to hold off on and to talk to you about, because like in something like Breath of the Wild, that's what I wasted. Not wasted because I enjoyed it, but like just hours and hours doing upgrades on like not only doing the cooking stuff, that side of it, but also doing the upgrades to my armor by going out and getting those individual supplies over and over again. And this is that same itch that's being scratched here.
This is why you're a man after my own heart, Randall.
Oh, yeah. I just tons of time. I love that stuff. I don't know why. I guess it comes back to just like liking to feel overpowered, like I talked about last time.
And just like the sense of progress, like that you can always be doing something that you can move a little bit forward, even if it is just like finding a buzzberry that you're going to turn into a Templar's outfit.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, feeling rewarded for your exploration is a huge deal, especially in these games that do have vast open spaces. And again, I know this game does, except when you're in the 16-bit mode, they do have the enemies on screen, correct?
Yes.
You can kind of avoid battles and stuff. So stuff like that goes a long way for me on these JRPGs that, again, are not a genre I gravitate towards.
And you're doubly rewarded for exploration, because it's not only going out and seeing those blue gems or lights in the corner of maps, but it's also going into generally houses or inns or whatever and looking on a bookshelf and seeing that one red book that's got the new spells for new stuff you can now craft. And it just like the cycle just keeps churning, right? So like, now I got to find these new supplies and craft this new awesome armor. That my old armor's shit now. I got to get this new armor, right? So let me go into the mini game where you got so in this mini game for the fun sized forge, you have to use your hammer, even if it's like clothes that's made out of like fabric. For some reason, you're lighting a kiln and like lighting it on fire.
It's 800 degrees in temperature and decreasing.
Seems like overkill, but that's what you have to do. But yeah, you're using your hammer to try and hit in certain increments to make sure you kind of hit it in this certain zone, and you can get a perfect score, but it's only if you hit it to this point, but not over that point too much. So it's very specific, and you level up your experience not only in the regular game, but also in this very specific crafting mechanic where your hammer hits become more and more precise over time. So it gives even another reason to go back in for stuff that you have crafted before to try and do a better version, a +3 instead of a +2 of that Templar outfit. So I just I get so sucked into those type of mechanics. I love it.
I managed to like perfectly craft an item like just by chance on like my third time, and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I'll never top this.
It feels so good though.
Yeah, it really does.
Yes.
Are there hundreds of NPCs, and do you talk to all of them?
So here's actually what I love about the way that they handle NPCs in the game is that like not all of them are interactable. Some of them like that you can talk to, if they have nothing important to say, they will have a blue icon over their head.
Love that.
That's amazing.
If they have a like mainline quest, they will have a like pink icon over their head, and they will show up on the map as well as a pink icon NPC that will tell you where the next place to go is. And if they have a side quest, it will be a purple icon over their head. It is incredible.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm buying it.
And not only that, but like the NPCs that are less important, that don't have much to say, you just have to be like brush against their proximity and it'll pop up above their heads without you pressing a button.
I was just going to ask if it does. I've seen a couple games that do that where it's just like a speech bubble.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, okay, this person's just chatting. You're not going to get anything out of them. I love that.
It's amazing.
That's huge.
It's so good.
that's huge. So yeah, if you want to get immersed in the world and talk to everybody, you can. And if you want to just focus on quests, or like again playing it on the Switch where it's pick up and play, you can be like, hey, I'm going to tackle some side quests. Let me look for some purple icons. Like that's pretty sweet. You guys are really selling me on this game.
And again, you want the Switch version, so you get that soundtrack, the orchestrated soundtrack.
Man, so I for the first couple areas, I was like, yeah, this is nice. Like you can definitely hear that it's like, you know, significantly better, but like it's still like not like worlds apart. And then I got to, I think it was Hotto, the hot springs area.
Yeah.
And like it was so different, like the ambient reverb in the orchestra hall, like just hearing like the small like violins and like trumpet and like, oh god, it was so incredible. It's like great. It was worth it for that track alone. I know, honestly.
It's unique to the Switch version?
Yeah.
It was all MIDI before.
Yeah, up until now with the series, I believe up until this Dragon Quest 11S on the Switch has always been like MIDI kind of. I mean, it was nostalgia, like even with the new updated graphics. Yeah, they sound great, but like having an actual orchestra perform these tunes, like even just watching the trailer,
it's great.
It was like it's easy to feel like getting swept up again, like we talked about with Hat in Time and New Super Lucky's Tale. Like again, I guess I don't know if those are real instrumentations, but it sounds like it's a real group of real people performing these tunes. You know, it doesn't sound like the music feels alive to me in a way. It doesn't feel like it's just programmed.
Yeah,
definitely.
So, awesome. Well, yeah, I'm excited to check out Dragon Quest 11. You guys might have talked me into it.
Yes.
But something that we don't need any talking into is our game of the month for the month of November. Although we're still waiting on all of us to actually play this game, except for John.
Except for me.
But we're going to be playing Baba Is You for the month of November. We'll be talking about it. It'll technically be our first episode of December on December 2nd. But yeah, we got to get to it and start playing this game. But excited to solve some puzzles and apparently, according to John, get our asses handed to us.
That's right.
So
light programming.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll catch you all next week. But thanks for listening to Pursuing Pixels. Again, like we mentioned last week, you can find us on the internet, Twitter, Instagram. Just type either /Pursuing Pixels after anything or search us, and we're at pursuingpixels.com. And new episodes every Monday, and until then, we'll catch you next Monday.
Take care.
Sweet. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I want to talk about the euchre, though. At some point, when we're light on a week, if you're still playing that a lot, let's keep that in the back pocket.
Was it a mobile game?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have any space on my phone, but I can play.
Yeah, John was just trying to download Venmo to pay me back for Pokemon Sword.
I had to delete Twitter.
Oh, wow.
My phone's a mess.
It's rough going there.
Yeah.
You are completely pathetic.
Deleting Twitter is not the worst thing, though, to be honest.